So, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to our weekend session with Al-Mawrid Institute Canada. Today's first talk is going to be entitled The Story of the Golden Calf, Harmonizing the Quran and the Tanakh, which is the Hebrew Bible, a journey of historical reconciliation. So this talk is actually, we have a guest speaker, a youth member and contributor. Her name is Isabel Aisha Khalid, who's a bright and upcoming young scholar and advanced student of Islam and the Abrahamic tradition. She is a published author who can write in 7 languages, including Hebrew. She's currently doing her BA in English literature. And more broadly, she's a student of the Abrahamic religions and the Kabbalah tradition. She's also studied at the University of Jerusalem and Cambridge Muslim College, amongst other places. And she currently also teaches at the Ghamdi Center for Islamic Learning. And this is the first talk that she's giving for us at Al-Mawrid Institute Canada, and we're very happy to have her with us.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be present here and be presenting today. So, as you already introduced, the topic is story of the golden calf. So, why is this story so important? We know that whenever Allah is telling any story in the Quran or the Bible, in any scripture, it's not just for entertainment's sake or just to tell us something that has happened before. It's a pedagogy that he adopts for us so that we can realize the facts, so we can learn some specifics. And story of the golden calf is one of those. So when we are reading any parable or a story in the Quran, there are 2 basic ways in which Allah describes. One is that God tells us in detail. For example, the story of Yusuf. It's quite in detail. The other way is that Allah indicates the story as in bil-ijmal, and then we later on background how the story occurred and everything. So what if there is a corruption in the story? So if there is some parable story or a tale of a prophet, and there is a Allah, at that time Allah corrects it in the Quran. Let me give you example of 2. For example, there is a story of manna wa salwa, and Allah is just simply indicating to us in the Quran by reminding the Israelites that I had bestowed upon you manna and salwa. And then later on we go to the Tanakh and we realize that what actually is that, how did that happen, why did that happen. Then there is also an indication towards Jesus Christ. But we know that in the Tanakh, it is mentioned that Jesus was executed by the Romans, and that now it is creating a corruption that is actually sabotage the faith. So now Allah is correcting it in the Quran, and He says, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ. So this is how we go with Quran and the Tanakh hand in hand. So when we read like this, the story of the golden calf, and there is again the indication in the Baqarah, we find a bit short, then a bit in detail in the Araf. So when we go and try to consult with the Hebrew Bible, we see that there are some differences. The narrative is a bit different in the perceived interpretation. Now, I am not saying that the story in the text is different. I am saying in the majorly perceived interpretation. So today we will be harmonizing the both Quranic and the Tanakh's narratives, and we will see inshallah that there is absolutely no difference in the 2. And this is my research, my opinion as a student. Okay, so we will be going through it. 1 second. So we will go through it. First of all, we will see the points of deviation, that where does the interpretation differs from the Quranic perspective. Then we will find out what is the true story. And how we will do that, we will dive into the verses of the Hebrew Bible and we will see. And by the end, we will have a quick review on the verses of the Quran, where we will see that there is absolutely no difference between the two stories. So let us get started. The points of deviation and common misconceptions, that where is it that the interpretation of the story actually differs from the Quran. The Israelites urge for a new God right after the God of Israel delivers them from the hands of the Egyptians. So we know that Israelites, they had spent ages upon ages bearing this tyranny and oppression and living in slavery at the hands of the Egyptians. So now what happens is that finally Allah creates a leader like Musa amongst them to liberate them. And it is not done so simply that God just says kun and they're out of the land and they find themselves at Israel. No, what actually happens is that it's a really gradual process. When the Pharaoh is reluctant to relieve the Israelites, God punishes him very strongly. That we see in the form of the 10 plagues of Egypt. Now, what happens? By this punishment, the Israelites, now they have become the first-hand experiences of what will happen if we disobey God knowingly, if we defy Him, if we are going against Him. So first they had been hearing the stories of what happened to the people from their ancestors, and now they are the first-hand witnesses of what will happen. Then the parting of the Red Sea. Again, now the Israelites have again become the first-hand experiences, the witnesses of what happens if you obey God, how merciful He can be. So now they know that how powerful God is, how just He is, how strong His wrath and mercy can be. So now, according to this first point, according to this interpretation, we have to believe this, that knowingly, knowing everything, the Israelites, while they are in the constant favor of God, they go against Him. And they corrupt to the extent that now they are replacing God, reason, and knowingly. So this is not even possible, knowing the human psychology. But let's go further. Harun, or Harun, the prophet of Adonai, he not only commits idolatry himself, but also aids the Israelites and leads them in doing so by creating the golden calf. So we were right now trying to digest that how is this even possible that the Israelites have gone so beyond in their corruption. Now the prophet, even he is not only joining them according to the interpretation, he is leading them in doing so. And we know that Musa, alayhi salam, he didn't only just say that because Harun is my brother, so I am appointing him in charge. No, he has chosen him that you are going to be the deputy. In my absence, you have to withhold the law of God. You have to guard it in his people. So that person on great pedestal, let alone a prophet, is doing this. The story gets even crazier. Moshe, or Musa, breaks the commandments of his God, made and set by him, Misha Elohim, made by God, Miktab Elohim, written by God, and joins his people for inquiry, and later on makes new tablets out of stone. What is Moshe trying to do here? So, if he was supposed to, we know that Moshe goes to the Sinai for 40 days, and the whole drill is just for the sake of receiving the halakha, the sharia, the commandments of God. And according to the narratives, these commandments were engraved on sapphire stones, and they were so holy that the words are Kalamullah, the word of God. It was written by God. So now Moshe carries all of those very heavy and very holy stones down, and then he just breaks them. And if he were supposed to break them later on, why does Moshe make new tablets out of stones? for getting those commandments? Why would he replace something so inferior with that of something so holy, something so great? Then, next point. Again, these are the points of interpretation where the Bible, where the Tanakh, it differs from the Quran. Right now, we are studying those. Harun gets away with the sin and Gadol. So when we're reading, studying the Abrahamic languages as Hebrew and Arabic, we know when there is a superlative degree, that is the peak of an adjective. And then there is a degree that is beyond the superlative degree where its boundary is it's just so endless, it's so immense. So Gadol means great. It is that greatness that nothing can be more greater than it. For example, when the Tanakh or the Torah says Adonai Gadol, great God, it means God of such a greatness that there can be nothing more greater than him. And when it says Hata Gadol, it means that sin, that great sin, that now there can be no sin more immense than it. So Harun gets away with the great sin that Hata Gadol he committed. We see when the people are getting executed, those 30,000 people are getting executed for committing idolatry. No one is saying to Moshe that, look, you are punishing us for doing this thing, for worshipping the calf. But look, here is the person who made the calf for us. So why is everyone being so forgiving? Why is this psychology so messed up? Moshe forgives Harun. So, okay, the people might have forgotten that it was Harun who started everything, but we know, even in the Quran, even in the Tanakh, that when Moshe descends from the Sinai, first thing he does is gets to the neck of his brother and asks him that, what have you done? Why have you led the people in this corruption? And all it gets for Harun to get himself forgiven is to say, oh, the son of my mother, to not be angry with me. And Moshe forgives him. It's gonna get even more crazy. When God of Israel, Elohai Yisrael, when God of Israel punished the people involved in this, in the idolatry, he forgives Harun without even mentioning the graveness of his atrocity, especially being the deputy. So people forgave Harun, Moshe forgave him, but what about Allah? He was all seeing. He could not be overwhelmed by any sort of emotion. So why is he forgiving? And even if he has forgiven Harun, he has not even mentioned a single time the gravity of his sin. And we know. Now, what is the outcome of it? The Sunnatullah is Qiyam bil Qist, justice. And if we do not expect justice from God, there is no test. There is no the foundation, the basis of the relation between us and God is just shattered. So now my question here is that in all these points that deviate from the Quranic narrative, does it all truly make sense? No. So it means that this is a wrong perception, a wrong interpretation. So now let's go and see what actually happened. The true story. Moshe promised the people of Israelites for 40 days. Upon the miscalculation of time, the Israelites got reckless and restless. Hence, out of that haste, they demanded a deputy, a substitute for Moshe. Again, a substitute for Moshe, not God. So we know that Moshe was a very intelligent man. And whatever he said, he actually knew what he's saying. He had a perfect diction of words. So when he said to his people, I am leaving, I'll return after 40 days, it began from the night he left. So he was supposed to return on the 40th night because Moshe knew that the night presides the day. For example, during the celebration of Shabbat, it doesn't start with the day, it starts from the evening. So the Israelites, they miscalculated time and now they were reckless because they knew that Moshe is supposed to keep his word. And now that he has not done, They were not sure what's going to happen to them. Are they supposed to are they supposed to find Musa? Are they supposed to return to Egypt? Is God angry with them? What is happening? They are not quite sure of it. So that's why they are now demanding a substitute for Musa. Let's see how the scripture elaborates it. Okay, so we saw that Moshe, he promised the people of 40 days, but he was really well with his words. He knew what he is saying, and he left at night. So the 40 days began from the night he left. So now the people, they miscalculated time, and they misunderstood Moshe. So now when he was not back, according to them, they got upset. They were afraid that don't know what has happened to him. Has he got hurt? Is God having any other plan for the Israelites? Are they supposed to find Moshe? Are they supposed to stay in the middle of nowhere? Are they gonna go back to Egypt? So that's why now they wanted someone to lead them to ask God what is next? What is the plan? What happened to Musa? So that's why they needed a substitute for Musa, not God. So now we were going to see what the scripture has to say about it. We are studying Exodus 32, where this whole story is being narrated. Where and when saw Ha'am, the people, Pivoshesh that had delayed Musa, Lagadat, to come down, Min from Hahal, the mountain, the Sinai. Vayikahel Ha'am, so gathered the people Al-Ahawun around Harun. So now what is happening that when the people, now please notice on my stresses when we will be going to the deep studies, you will understand why I'm putting so much stress on a word. When the people saw that Moshe delayed to come down out of the mountain, the people gathered themselves around Aaron. So it says, when the people saw that Moshe delayed to come down, he Voshesh Moshe, not Voshesh Elohai, not that God delayed to come down. So it means that they were restless because of Musa's absence. Let's go further. They did not fear to be left godless, the Israelites. They were the people of God. Their name Atam Yahweh Elohim. They were the children of God their Lord. All they were concerned of that how would they make a contact with him in the oblivious absence of Musa. So the Israelites, even before the birth of Moses, even when they were amidst of all the blight and suffering, they had a God. They were never feeling that, maybe they have lost a God or something, God is missing. So know that when Musa is once again missing, they were not upset from the presence of God. The only thing was that how would they contact with the God who has liberated them? So let's see it from another verse of the same chapter that what actually concerned the people. He is a Moshe for this man Musa. He is a Moshe for this man Musa. Hayish, the man, Asher, who brought us, Helanu, who has brought us, Meres Misraim, out of the land of Egypt. Lo Yadano, we do not know. Me Hayalo, what has happened to him. So again, for this man Moses, the man who brought us out of the land of Mizraim, we do not know what has become of him. So again, the people, they are not afraid that what has happened to God. They're saying, He's a Moshe, this man Moses. We do not know what has become of him. They are not saying He's a Eloha, He's a Hashem. They're talking about Musa. The restlessness is about Musa. So what are to be the points to be observed out of this? If the Israelites, the first point, if the Israelites were concerned for the presence of their leader, Musa, and asked for a substitute of Musa, as we have seen in the verses, why did they even demand for a God? First. Second, and were it the Israelites, this is really important, were it the Israelites to petition for a new God or someone else amongst them? Because we know that from this point, if it's not the Israelites who ask for a new God, then it changes the entire story. And was it a god that was being appealed for? A god, a god, an angel, a prophet, a substitute. It can be anything. So was it a god in particular that they asked for? Maybe not. So these are the three questions that, if they're answered differently, the entire narrative can change. So the question here comes in, how are we supposed to decipher the true plumb of the story? How are we going to know what actually happened? So we're going to do that through the comprehension of the Hebrew text in the light of pure Hebrew rabbinical traditions. Now, why did I say pure Hebrew rabbinical traditions? This can start a really long and a different discussion, so I'm going to cut it quite short. In us Muslims, we Muslims and the Qadiani Muslims. Now, we both share the same Quran, right? But what we say is that the Qadianis, they have the same Quran, but its interpretation, the narratives are completely different. The reason is that they understand the Arabic, but they do not understand the paradigms of the Arabic language, of the literary, of that Arabiya Jahiliya in which the Quran is revealed. So are the two major groups, the Messianic Jewish and the traditions, and then the rabbinical Jewish traditions. So we have to understand the story in the light of the pure Hebrew, Tanakh's Hebrew, Torah's Hebrew's paradigm. So we are going to do it in the pure Hebrew rabbinical traditions. So let us start from inquiry number 2. Were it the Israelites to petition for a new God or someone else amongst them? So in order to detect this, we are going to see the method of addressing. Now, those amongst you who have read the Torah or the Tanakh, you have seen that when an Israelite, when they're talking about themselves, there is a very soft, a very vocal, clear, and loud sense of intimacy, of kinship, right? Our people, my people, the children of Israelites. And when they are talking to God or God is talking to them, there is the same intimacy, the same unity is being reflected, this informality as children of God, chosen people, my nation. On the contrary, when they shift to addressing the Gentiles or the non-Jewish, there is this very dry, formal, alienated sense. So, in order to decipher that, is it the saying of Israelites or someone amongst them, we are going to study the tone in this story, and we will see that what actually happened. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, the people gathered against Aaron, and those people said to him, come, make us gods, who shall go before us. For that fellow Moses, the man who brought us from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him. So my question here is that, for example, if your mother takes you and your siblings to your aunt's house or someone else's house, and she says that I will be back by dinner, but now it's morning and she's not back. Would you say this? You would say that, where is mom, right? We do not know what has happened to her. What is taking so long? Will you say like this, or you would say, where is the woman, or Zara maybe, where is the woman, Zara, the woman who brought us from our house? We do not know what has happened to that woman. No, you would be crazy if you talk that way. And if you any sibling is telling your mother or someone else that you guys are concerned for her, they will say, we are asking, or my siblings are asking, where is our mom? They will not say that when the people saw that mother was so long in coming back, the people gathered against me, and those people said, where is that woman? The woman who brought us from our house. So this shows the same very dry formality, the sense of alienation that we are mentioning. Now, secondly, let's take a bit deep dive in the Hebrew text. Vayach ha'am. One saw the people. People, ha, the. So if it were Vayaha'am and people saw that Moses was long in coming down, it means again that this is generalized talk. We are talking about the Israelites. But when the Hebrew says, when the people saw that Moshe is late, it means that now this group of third person is being specified. It's no more general. Now, Ha'am is indicating that there is a specific group of people amongst the generals who are asking, who are inquiring. Now, just see how strong in this formality gets, this alienation gets. Okay. And now when God tells Moshe that what is happening, وَيَدْبَرْ Yahweh, and said God, El Moshe to Musa, Lachred, descend down, Bishihat, for have Amecha, your people, Asech Keelata, whom you brought, Meres Mitzrayim, out of the land of Egypt, have acted lowly. What is God trying to say here? Amecha, your people, Keelata, you brought. Israelites were the nation of God. Israelites were the people of God. Why is God saying to Moshe, your people? Then God brought them out of the land of Egypt. God sent the plagues of Egypt. God parted the sea for them. Why is God saying to Moshe that you brought out of the land of Egypt? So there is something to be noted. Now, another point here is descend down, lechred. So it's not only descend down from the mountain, it's descend down from that rank, that pedestal you were standing on. Moshe was on the pedestal of leading a great nation, and now that nation is being corrupted, has defied God. They have acted lowly. They are no more great nation. They have lost their pedestal, and so has Moses. So now God says, Lachred, get down, descend down for your people, Amecha. Now, as in Arabic, when we say uh, we have to show someone else's possession to something, we add a kaf as kitab, kitabik. Same is we add the same kaf at the end of the words in Hebrew, but that's a different story that we pronounce it as kha. Amecha, your people. So let's see. Let's go ahead. Now, when these people, the third person, the people of Moshe, they make they make a god. They make this golden calf. What do they say? This is really interesting. Veyohmeru. So said them. The third person narrative is still going on. Veyohmeru. So said them. Elle, these are Elohicha, your God, Israel. O Israel, Aser, who brought Helucha, you, who brought you, Meres Misraim, out of the land of Egypt. Shouldn't it be said, if these are the Israelites, that these are our gods, O Israel, who have brought us out of the land of Egypt? But now it's saying Elohicha, your gods, Israel, not our gods. God says that Moshe, you have brought these, the third person, out of Egypt. These people say, the people say, Moshe brought us out of Egypt. Now, these people are saying that Israelites, Moshe brought us out of Egypt, and this graven image is of that God who brought you out of Egypt. So you might be checking this consistency, this shift of tone. Now let's go ahead. وَيُغْمِرُ Yahweh el Moshe. So said Yahweh to Moshe, Rayyati, I have seen, at Ha'am, to these people, third person. I have seen these people, and behold, these are stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may vex forth against them, and I may consume them. لأكلهم, that I may consume them. وأخشى أوسخا, and I might make you أوسخا لغوف gadol, a great nation. Now here this distinction is so loud. These are stiff-necked people, and you are going to be a great nation. Now, here is another thing I would like to bring your attention on, very decisive, crucial thing in the Hebrew text. After Rayati, I have seen at Ha'am. Now we knew that Ha is again specifying a group, but this Ain and Tat, at, whenever you see this in Hebrew, this is a direct in the grammar. This is a direct indication to something secular, to something in specific. So now if I have said to something at, before I have directly used the indication of at, it means that this is something completely different, distinguished than the things that are present. So now this is a very strong Hebrew indication that is completely secularizing these people from the Israelites at Ha'am. It has made them a different group. Now let's see in the last, when Moshe comes back and sees the golden calf, he took the calf that they had made, the third person had made, and burnt it. He ground it to powder and stored it upon the water, and so made the Israelites drink it. Wayakas, Wayask at Bani Israel, and made the Bani Israel drink. So if this all was, there was no distinction, we are talking about one nation here, shouldn't it be that Moshe took the calf that they had made and made them drink? Or the Israelites had made and made them drink? So you can see there is a shift of second person and third. Now see again in the Hebrew verse, at Bani Yisrael, that is now the same direct indication is being given towards the Israelites at first at Ha'am, one group is being specified, and then at Bani Israel, this is a second group. So what are we going to get out of this? What is the conclusion? When Allah liberated the Israelites of the hands of the Egyptians and guided them to the Holy Land of Israel, they were accompanied by some Egyptians. So these are at Ha'am, these are the people, the mysterious third people. Moshe Rabbeinu did not seek the consent of Hashem in particular for them, and let them join out of courtesy in good spirits for them. Now you know that Moshe, he's a very sympathetic person. He is a prophet. And he is having this unconditional feeling for goodness for everyone. So now what happens is, again, these are two groups. One is the Israelites at Bani Israel, whom God has guided out of the land of Egypt. And then there is at Ha'am, the people whom Moshe has brought out of the land of Egypt. Now let us go back for a moment. What does it say? God says, the people say that Moshe, where is the man? Kize Moshe, the man who brought us out of Egypt. And the same people say to Israelites that this is the God who has brought you out of Egypt. So now you can see that how perfectly it is being justified. Then these, the third person, the Egyptians, these were hypocritic and luscious people towards the world, as well as magicians. So they did not follow Moshe because you can say they were sincere. All they knew that world. But tuhibuna hayati dunya. They were in love with the world, with the world. And again, they were magicians. So as soon as Moshe disappeared, they tried to prevail their Egyptian influence upon the Israelites by introducing their new gods unto them. So now what they are doing, they see, they were never sincere. They wanted power amongst the Israelites, and as soon as they're vacant of the leadership, they try to They try to bring their leadership into the group. So this is the answer of the question number two. Now that leaves us with two more inquiries to complete the story. The Israelites, if the Israelites were concerned with the presence of God, with the presence of a substitute, why did they demand a new God? And was it a God that was being asked for? So again, we're going to the same verse. Uh, when the people, the Egyptians, saw that Moshe delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves around Harun and said unto him, Come, make us a substitute, make us Elohim, who or which shall go before us. For that fellow Moses, the man who brought us from the land of Mizraim, we do not know what has happened to him. So now you can check the wit of the Egyptians. They knew that these Israelites are very monotheistic people, and if they say that make us God, the people will turn against them. So now what are they doing? They are saying, make us Elohim, make us a substitute who shall go before God instead of Moshe. So now what is happening that Harun knew that if he is going to reject the cause of these people in the way that they are saying to create us a substitute instead of appointing one, he will be killed. How did he know that? Because when his cousin stood up and reprimanded the Egyptians, they killed him. So now Harun knew that if he would go in the same fashion, he would be killed. So now the question comes, was Harun intimidated? Did he care for his life? No. He knew that if he is martyred, the Egyptians will be completely left without any guardian, any leadership, and now the Egyptians could exploit them. So now what did Harun do? That he said, okay, he played along. He knew that Moshe is going to come till night by the night time, and before that, he just had to stole the Egyptians. So he said, they're fine, bring me your gold, because he knew that they loved the gold. He thought they will be reluctant, but the Egyptians hurry up and submit their gold to him. Then Harun, to put a further delay, he says that bring me the gold of your wives, of your daughters, of your son, knowing that, okay, now it's going to bring a delay. But to his disappointment, there is no delay. So now what Harun does, he says, fine, I will make the substitute, the Elohim you're saying, but I will do that alone. Why? Because if many people start stirring the gold together, it can be made, the mold will be ready very soon. But if one person, Harun, does it alone, it will take the entire day and Moshe will return. But what he didn't know, that these magicians, they had another spell cooking. So as soon as Harun poured the gold into that big pot, a golden calf came out of it. And now these people who gave that gold in the name of substitute, what did they do? Just type. Mm. And Harun received at their hand the gold and fashioned it with a graving tool after he had made it a molten calf. And the Egyptians said, these are your gods, these are your Elohim, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. So, what is going on here? They said that we want a substitute, but as soon as they cast this spell, they say to to the Israelites, Allah Elohicha Yisrael. These are your gods, O Israel. So now you would be thinking that first the word Elohim was, and I said it's a substitute. And now the same word Elohim is repeated, and I'm saying it gods. So what is this whole controversy about? So let's have an analysis on the word Elohim. The selection and word choice makes it evident that the proposal was not made for a single, a monotheistic god, Elohav, Eloha, but that of God's Elohim. We are talking about the recent verse that we have just done. وَيُغْمِرُ أَلَّا إِلَهِيخَ Yisrael. In Tanakh or in the Torah, the use of Elohim is majorly done to mention Allah, Yahweh. For example, Askera Elohim in the Sounds of Salah Maya, I remembered the Lord and I sighed. But in other stances, it also signifies the human rulers, kings, or that of the leaders. So it's not that only God, when Elohim is being used, it's just for God, but it is also for human. For example, in Arabic, we say Malik or Malek, king. So if I say Allah is the King of Kings, Yahweh Melech HaMlachim, God is the King of Kings, it is justified. But when I say Jesus, Yeshua Melech HaMlachim, or maybe Alexander is the King of Kings, it doesn't mean that I am calling Jesus or Alexander the great God. It means that the word can be used in different meanings. So is the case with Elohim. Now, the terms of Adonai and the vowels of Yud He Vav He that make Yahweh, they have fixed meanings and never shift the addressee, that is Hashem, that is Allah. So unlike the Elohim, wherever throughout the Torah, the Mizmar, the Psalms, anywhere you see the words of Adonai or Yahweh, they mean Allah. For example, in the Quran you see the words of Allah and Ilah. So wherever the word Allah is used, that is for Allah. But ilah can be used for variables. For example, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ هَوَاهُ إِلَهًا. Have you seen the people who have made their desires their gods? Now let's see the examples of how this word changes in its meaning. But before that, Sean, how much time are we having?
Yeah, we are running out of time. We did want to wrap up by 12:30, so if you another 10 minutes if
Okay,
you think you can wrap up. Yeah.
okay. So let's go quick. Let's see just the quick examples where this word is used in different variables. If the thief is not found, then the owner of the house shall appear before the Elohim, at Elohim. And this is it. The case of both parties shall go before the judges. He whom the judges, the Elohim condemns, shall pay double to his neighbor. So we know that if God is saying go to the court with your problem, so for the judgment, God will not be sitting in the courthouse, it will be judges. So here we see that Elohim means judges. And on the other hand, oh, sorry. Yeah. So let's have a quick analysis of the term Elohim. So Elohim is a plural. Its singular is Eloha, and Elohim is used in plural. And this is why when we say Allah Elohicha Yisrael, these are your gods, Israel. So under the same grammatical rule, we called it gods, not God. So here is another example where Elohim is used, Elohai is used for God. First it was used for judges, and now it's for God. In the Psalms, where David says, Bawqi nafshi at Yahweh, Yahweh, Elohai gatata mi'ot. That praise my soul to the Lord, my God, you are very great. And you are clothed with splendor, with honor and majesty. So here we see that Yahweh is sole representation of God, but Eloha is the singular form, and we know it means God because of the way how it is used. Right after Adonai, the word Eloha is used. So it's very obvious that David is praising Allah. Now, this is the last example because we have quite short time. So Moshe sought Yahweh, his Elohim, and said, Why, Yahweh, does your wrath wax hot? In the same chapter it is. So now we are saying that Moshe sought Adonai, his Elohim. Plural is used. So does that mean that this is gods? Moshe sought his gods. So Elohim gods, Elohav his God. In Arabic, when we have to show something towards us, we use the ya as kitab, kitabi, my book. So same Elohav, my God. So now if the word plural is used, so does it mean that Moshe worshipped gods? No, because at times to show the magnificence, literature plays its trick in every language, not just in Hebrew. For example, God says, "Nahnu khalaqnakum, falawla tusaddiqun." So here the "nahnu" we created you. So it is the subject remains singular. Okay. So let's have this last example where the word Adonai is used. And Harun said, "Do not vex hot the anger of my Adonai. You know the people are of great mischief. The Egyptians are of great mischief." So here, Adonai is basically a pronoun you can say, just to understand, uh, as they use pronouns, you can say it can be used like that to show God, Hashem. So now let's shift to the conclusion. The Egyptians amongst the Israelites urged for a substitute to Moshe, to Musa. They forced the hand of Harun, and against his will they made a golden calf because Harun had something else in his mind. So Harun definitely did not start idolatry. It was the Egyptians. Moshe broke the commandment. Now this is the point which is left. The last question, why did Musa break the commandment? Well, the commandment this was the contract, a symbolic contract between God and the people of Israelites. That and the first thing is Adonai Echad, your God is one. And if Moshe would not break the contract, it means that the contract is signed and the people have broken the contract. So now they deserve the wrath of God. So in order to save the people, Moshe made this a symbolic gesture of canceling the contract before it was even signed by the Israelites. And later on, even we see in the Exodus that God praises Moshe for his this wisdom. So now let's have a quickly recite the Quranic verses where we will see that wherever it is indicating to the Tanakh or to the Torah, there is absolutely no difference because all of that interpretative mistakes, confusions have been sorted out. So when the Israelites moved ahead from there, we took a promise of 30 nights from Moses and completed it with 10 nights, 10 further nights. So, as a result of this, 40 nights were completed as the time appointed by his Lord. While he was going to fulfill this promise, Moshe said to his brother Aaron, "After me, you will be in my place among my people, and will keep reforming people, and will not tread the path of mischief mongers." And we wrote on the tablets every type of counsel and every detail for him. Again, Miktav Elohim, Misha Elohim. God said, "We have written these down. So hold fast to them and ask your people to be fittingly follow the good way written in them. Move ahead a little with your people." Now, again, there is one incident, and now there is going to be an indication to the second incident where the Israelites or where the Egyptians have caused this corruption. "Move ahead a little with your people. I shall soon show you the house of the defiant. You will see that soon I shall return them away from my signs, to unjustly show arrogance in the land." Now, this is the verse that is uh, indicating to the place where God says, "Lechred," descend down in the land, and asks us that if they see signs of all kinds, even then they will not believe. The Israelites saw the signs of God and they believed. But the Egyptians, on the other hand, they saw all the signs, but they did not believe. So God is talking about them. If they see the path of guidance, they will not adopt it. And if they see the path of error, they will tread on it. This is because they denied the revelations and paid no heed to them. Now, this is an indication towards the verse where God says, "These are stiff necked people, and I will make out of thee a great nation." Wasted are the deeds of all those who denied our signs and have rejected the meaning of the hereafter. Now, will they receive something else in reward for what they have been doing? Where God says, لِأَكَلَّهِمْ, so I will consume them. Mm. While Moses was still in the presence of his God, people behind him carved out a golden cup from jewelry. A body from which sound similar to that cup would come. They did not see that it can neither speak to them nor can guide them. In spite of this, they made him a deity and they were extremely just. The Egyptians, they were third person. Then, when what they had done came before them, and they saw that they had gone astray. Now we are talking about the Israelites, that when they saw that instead of a substitute, they have made a god. They understood that this is something wrong. We have committed hata gadol unknowingly. If our God does not show mercy on us and does not pardon our mistakes, we shall end up among losers. So after that, when Moses returned to his nation, full of anger and sorrow, he said, as soon as he came to them, "You have represented me very badly in my absence. Did you show haste even before your Lord's directive?" He threw down the tablets, now canceling the contract between them and God, and began pulling his brother Aaron to himself by his head. Aaron said, "O son of my mother, these people, the Egyptians, overpowered me and almost killed me. So do not give the enemies opportunity to laugh at me and do not count me with these unjust." So you can see how is this perfectly aligning with the chapter 32. Thereupon Moses prayed, "My Lord, forgive me and my brother, and admit us in your mercy. You are the most merciful of all those who show mercy." So, by the end, we see that the reflection towards a historical event is fully harmonious in great consistency, lacking any sort of contradictions. The only contradictions were assumed due to misinterpretation of the Hebrew verses. For example, Elohim was as God, substitute, and all of that thing was messed up. So that was all. Thank you. So I believe the house would be now open for questions. So come on.
Thank you very much, Isabel. That was a great presentation. Obviously, you've done a lot of work. I'm hoping that you'll have a written version, an article summarizing these ideas as well, so we can take some time to read them carefully and have some peer review as well. Um, I will allow, I think, when in our office, there will be, they're going to be breaking for Zohar. So those of us who are watching it in person at the office can go ahead and do that. But those of us who are joining us by Zoom online can remain and raise your hand if you'd like to ask Isabel any questions about the presentation. If you don't know how to raise your hand, you can basically go to reactions and there should be a raise hand option there. But if you can't find that, you can just go ahead and speak if you have anything um, to ask her or any comments in general. Okay, I think the audience is it's a bit quiet at the moment.
That was a good presentation. That was a good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tariq Sab. Anybody else?
Someone has put in the chat one quick question.
Why only a delay of one night? From Ahmed.
Okay, so we know that the question was not hid from the Israelites. The Egyptians amongst them joined them from with the intention that they want to put their influence amongst the Israelites, right? So they were just finding that when can we do it, the right time. So they found the right time when they saw that Israelites were completely out of leadership. So they ran towards them and they started spreading chaos. That your prophet, he said he will be back in this much time. God promised you he will be back in this much time, but he is not. Ezekiel, has God abandoned you? What is going to happen to you? So this was actually the wit of the Egyptians over there.
Okay, thank you. So, can I ask, Isabel, is the way that you are interpreting the story in the Hebrew Bible also consistent with what you've understood from the rabbinical tradition, or are there differences within the rabbinical tradition as well?
Okay, so obviously, as a student, this is my research, but it is not that I am the first person to say. There are many rabbis who, within the rabbinical tradition, they abide with this understanding, and even some within the messianic. For example, even you can see Rabbi Ferdinand, you would know him. So he holds the same understanding regarding this topic.
Great. And are you planning to write an article on this content, or have you already written something?
Um, if you guys say so, then I can write. Obviously, this week is a bit busy due to my exams starting
Yeah,
from tomorrow.
there's no rush. I mean, it's just at some point in the future, if that's something that might be interesting,
Yeah, sure,
useful for
sure.
people. Yeah, great. Okay, there's another question by Nadir, and she's saying, "What do you think are the theological implications of these differences? Do you have any thoughts on that?"
Yes. The reason why there are so many differences in the historical events between the Bible and the Quran. For example, we believe that Ishmael was brought to the altar, Ismail, and they believe that his brother was brought to the altar. But we are not discussing it. Why? Because it does not bring a change. It does not attack our faith. So in theology, the differences that are occurred is first, what is the position? What is the pedestal of a prophet? Will God appoint anyone who is just so weak, who cannot abide by that responsibility and just let him go? And then second, which is even more important, deals with the sunnatullah, the way how he deals with us, and that is qiyam bil qist, according to justice. So now, if you know, if God forbid, you would know that in the day of judgment, you are not going to be dealt justly. What relation will remain? What trust, what bond between you and God? Because we are doing good deeds. We are trying to do good deeds because we believe that we will be given justice. Obviously, we will be pardoned and we hope for mercy. So the difference that of this implication, what it does is that it messes with our faith and our direct relation between God, the Sunnatullah. So this is why I believe it is something really important.
Okay, I think that's great. I think I don't see anyone else's hand raised, or uh, don't see any other question in the chat. And I think the in-person class will be breaking for Zohar now. So I'd just like to thank Isabel for all her hard work and showing up to do this presentation for us. And I hope everyone will appreciate this, very insightful work that some of our young people are doing and give them encouragement and constructive feedback, and so that we can help improve the quality of the learning within our community. Thank you, Isabel.
Actually, thank you so much. Thank you.